My name is Madhura Mohan and I am an animal lover. Knowing this one fact about me might lead you to come to the conclusion that I am also an animal rights activist, like the people at PETA, which is an extreme animal rights organization. Unfortunately, if you did reckon this, then you couldn't be more wrong. The question here is, why did people not think that I was an animal welfare activist? The answer is quite simple. This is just a lesser known idea. When I was doing my research, I came across a story that was rather illuminating. There was once a mother polar bear who lived in a zoo, where she gave birth to one cub. However, due to complications, she had passed away soon after, leaving the young one an orphan. In this situation, animal rights activists were reported as saying that the cub should not be interfered with by the keepers because it was unnatural, while animal welfare activists said that the cub should be cared for by the zookeepers. Under dire circumstances, where the life of an animal was in question, one group of people chose to let the animal die rather than allow it to be held in captivity, just because that was how it would be in the wild. This is the real distinction between animal welfare and rights. Animal rights emphasizes that animals should be given the same rights as that of humans and can never be used in any field that is to the benefit of humans. The concept of animal welfare is based on the idea that humans are responsible for the animals in their care. It is focused on the well-being of animals and supports the humane treatment of them through the use of regulated caretaking practices and medical care. However, animals can be used for food and other purposes as long as they are treated right. In 1979, the UK government established an Animal Welfare Council that set the 5 freedoms, which is still widely used as the standards by which animals in captivity are to be treated. The first is the freedom from hunger and thirst, which means that animals must be provided with a diet that is full enough to maintain health and vigor. The second is the freedom from discomfort, which requires adequate shelter and comfortable living conditions. The freedom from pain, injury, and disease demands that any ailment is prevented as best as can be, or at least rapidly diagnosed and treated. The freedom from fear and distress ensures that the conditions that the animals are in such a way that even the slightest mental suffering is avoided. Finally, the freedom to display normal behavior certifies that sufficient space for animals and the company of its own kind are available. In our present-day world, there are an immeasurable number of fields in which both wild and domestic animals are owned and used by humans. Although the 5 freedoms are set for exactly these situations, they are not always followed. Traditional Chinese medicine is known for its many strange and questionable methods of treatment. Perhaps one of the cruelest of these is the extraction of bear bile. The species used for this is the Asiatic black bear, which is now an endangered species. The extraction of bile from these live bears causes unimaginable suffering and long-term health problems for these physically and psychologically damaged animals. The techniques of extraction involve bears being kept in tiny crush cages and range from the free drip method, where the bears suffer a hole in their gallbladders, to the insertion of permanent catheters. The bears literally grow up in these cages, and because of how cramped they are, their bodies are contorted to fit the bars. Most have few teeth left due to physically trying to chew their way out of the cage. Although the use of crushed cages are illegal in China, the practice of bear bile extraction itself is not. Bear bile is known to be useful for treating liver and gallbladder conditions, but this is not the only ailment it is used to treat. There are cases of it being used to treat certain types of cancer. This begs the question, how can the bile of an animal be used to treat cancer when it itself can have cancer? Circuses, zoos, and oceanariums are widely popular among tourists. Although they may be advertised as being educational, there could be nothing less so than seeing a lion or a killer whale in a glass box. Let's focus on the killer whales here, otherwise known as orcas. In the wild, they are known to be some of the most gentle animals, interacting well with humans. Even though they are named killer whales, there are few to no reports of them ever killing humans in the wild. These majestic animals are used to swimming over 100 miles or 160 kilometers a day. In captivity, their tanks are a mere 330 feet long and 30 feet deep. And these are just the specs for the largest tanks out there. they would have to swim around the tank more than 4,400 times to cover the same distance as they do in the wild. The plain cement walls of the tank offer little to no stimuli and any sort of activity for the whales, which leads to them displaying repetitive behaviors like bumping their heads into the tank walls, chewing on the gates, and displays of aggression as well. This leads to violent outbursts against other whales and even their trainers, where there have been certain instances of death. It is quite evident in these cases that most or all of the 5 freedoms are being violated. There is no such thing as the perfect solution to the problems that we now face. Animal welfare is not the answer that is required to keep all captive animals safe from harm, because in reality, it does have its problematic practices. But one thing is for certain, and it is that it is better that we humans do something rather than nothing to help sustain the world that we have so recklessly brought to its knees. Thank you.